Hello, everybody. This is Richard Diaz. I am the owner and CEO of RPS Consulting. I've been consulting since 2001 when I left corporate America in the area of investment recovery. I was a director for a pretty large firm there. I did a piece before, a short piece on giving samples when consulting, and I have gotten so many more requests to elaborate a little bit more because it was pretty general. So I'll try to do that without, without going off on tangents here. But let's get into it. Why should you be giving samples, and why is it important, especially in consulting? What is it that you can actually give? And not to worry about giving away the store. Well, samples are important, I think, in many businesses, in particular in consulting, because you want to gain the client's trust, and the best way to do it is to get to know them and get face time, get verbal time, if you will. I prefer that much more than writing something. When I write something to them, they want more and more detail. Basically, they want me to do the work for them. I'd much rather get to know them better by speaking to them, seeing their body language, seeing how they react. And the best thing you could do for yourself as a consultant is to become a good communicator with your clients. Get to know them as best as you can. Learn all that you can about them and learn to get to know their business, where the pain is, what it is that they're feeling, what would make their life easier. And by the way, I can deliver that. And if I could deliver that, wouldn't it be, good for your company and mine? For instance, there are three areas that I do consulting in. One of them is investment recovery. One of the ways that I give my clients some knowledge, or let them know that I have some knowledge in the area of investment recovery, is typically surplus assets, surplus asset management. And it usually has to do with some inefficiencies or inadequacies, or just some things in the times cause things to become obsolete as well. But there is a lot that you can do on their side to prevent that. And I explained to them that a lot of what it has to do with keeping control who does data entry. Because data entry is one of the big reasons why you're going to end up with hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of inventory in wrong areas if you're not careful, because you'll have different people interpret differently the information that's coming in. And so you have to be very careful of that. Put some checks and balances within your ERP system, or within your supply chain system, so that doesn't happen. And Also, and I can explain scenarios all the time. If you have a service where you have people come to the counter and they want certain things because they're going out into the field, they always want to take more than what they really need. The problem is when they get to the field, they'll use one or two things that they really needed. The others rattle around in the truck sometimes forever, end up coming back and being put back on the shelf, and now the integrity is questionable. Okay, now the next time somebody comes and asks for the same thing, they don't want one where the box looks like it might have been opened, because they want to get it right the first time. So they'll take another new one, and this process goes on and on and on. This happens all over the country. It doesn't matter which company you're with. That happens. When I explain that to them, they seem to get the idea that I know what I'm talking about. And I'm not just here to tell them about what the problem is, because if they don't already know, that's the problem. The solution is, let's manage that inventory. Let me show you how I can maximize it. I've proven to you that I understand what's going on and why it's being caused, but let me tell you, I've got contacts all over the country. I do this everywhere, and that's why I know how to maximize the returns on some of these things. Not only that, but because I do this in more places than one, I'm able to sometimes pool your inventory with somebody else's inventory and negotiate from a better standing point, from a stronger position. Okay, and that again is another reason why I can do some things that you yourself could never do, because you don't have the volumes that I have or the knowledge base that I have on who does what and how to best get your best bang for the buck. So that puts me in a pretty exclusive position there, and valuable one as well. So I bring that to the table. Now, when it comes to the business development, and where I represent other companies in finding new work and introduce them to other companies, there I have to learn a little bit more about their business and what it is that they're trying to accomplish and what they bring to the table. And I have to put myself as in a position of being one of them, representing them. So once I get to know what it is that they want and how it is that they want it, I tell them that, look, what I can do is I can infiltrate large corporations. I know how to get past the gatekeepers, because I've been a gatekeeper and had gatekeepers for me for so long. Just as a sample, one of the things that I do is, once I know who I need to talk to, I don't ask to talk to them. I tell the gatekeeper, whoever answers the phone, that I need to speak to so-and-so. Could you please put him on the phone? Could you please put me into his voicemail? I don't say, or act as if I don't know who he is. And that alone gets me much farther than most folks. Every now and then, I do get asked, well, is this or that person, are they expecting you? And if I don't want to lie, so I'll say no, but they should, because what I have is so valuable, they're going to want to be contacted and talking to me. So please put me into their message or into their voicemail. And they do. Most of the time they do. If not, there are hundreds of other ways. I belong to other organizations. Most utilities or big companies have folks that are doing some other kind of work, some other charitable organization work, some PR work with other companies. I can find a way, believe me. So when I do, and I get in and I finally get us to the table, I can represent most companies in a way that they themselves have difficulty doing, and I can usually get them up to the plate to with a bat to take a swing at a pitch. I can't hit the ball for them, I can't run the bases, but if I can get your company up to take a pitch, wouldn't that be valuable? And of course they say yes, and I say, well, let's do that. That's what I can do. That's what I do best. That's my job. And I say it with confidence, because I'm pretty confident that I can deliver. Now, the third piece of my business has to do with closing down power plant decommissioning and other decommissioning of other assets. This typically involves closing the place down from the very beginning, and having to think about the things that you need to do from the get-go. Most people haven't done it. There hasn't been a lot of plant closings across the world, for that matter, because they seem to have a longevity, 40, 50 years, and then when they get close, they do upgrades and they keep them going again, right? Well, if someone's in a position where they're ready to do that, and I need to let them know that hey, I'm somebody that you need to talk to as early as possible, and depending on where they are, I could make a big difference. And one of the first conversations I'll have with them is ask them if they have a plan. Have they thought about taking out all of the minor things, the switches that contain mercury, the things that contain freon and other gases that they need to first take care of? And those things they're pretty good on. Other things they're not so good on. And I have to see where they're situated to see what it is that they might have, be impacted by, that they have not thought about. One thing that gets them a lot is, do you have stacks where you emit gases or something out of your stack? And of course they do. And the next thing is, well, how tall is your stack? Because depending on where they're at, and what their height is, could depend on whether or not they need to report the removal of that stack to the Federal Aviation Administration. And now that may surprise a few. It always surprises them because it's usually something they hadn't thought about. And that's true. Now, if you have the proper requirements and you have lights on your stack, they might be being used as a guide by the folks in planes at night. They might be a landmark, and you don't want to just remove a landmark all of a sudden and have them, veer off course. And most people don't, again, think about that. I've done this enough where I'll bring that up on occasion, and I want to make sure that they know that I am thorough. And by imparting a lot of knowledge, it gives them the confidence that I have confidence, that I could represent them well in the job that they're asking me to do. And all of this, again, just adds to what I can bring to the table for them. And you need to be able to do that. You need to communicate in terms that they can understand to show that this is what I can do for you, and you're going to want to impart some knowledge and not have to worry about, well, I'm giving away the store. No, you're not. You're not. You're the store. Okay, and unfortunately, it's not like a piece of bakery or a slice of cheese in the deli. You can give it to them and they can keep going. But in the same way that, and by that I mean that it's not a tangible. What we have is an intangible. But that's a good thing too. People do business with other people that they know and trust, and that's what you need to get your clients to do. Get them to know and trust, and not just do a sales pitch. You really want to be able to represent their best interest. Okay? And when you can get over having to worry about what you're giving away, I think you'll do better off. Get to know people for who they are. They'll get to know you for who you are and what you can bring to the table, and you'll get the next one done. Again, I hope that this was beneficial for you. I think that giving samples in any business is good, in particular when you're dealing with intellectual property here. And don't forget now that the big thing in business is being so thorough that you consider their sustainability goals. Okay? And we'll talk about that on another one. But for now, have a good one. This is Rich Diaz with RPS. Bye now.